The only problem is in closing out the pain, we also close out the power. We're trying to close out the burden, but we inevitably close out the blessing. In fact, that's why the enemy allows us to go through failure, so we'll shut down our womb, close our possibilities, live in a vacuum, isolate ourselves to protect ourselves so that nothing gets out, but nothing gets in. So we live our lives going through the motions. We're having fun, but there's no impact because we can't afford to risk being hurt again. We don't open up our hearts to love again because the last time we loved someone wrong and it died.
Of the future clear for yourself. All of the values of life that you could possibly want. And be serious about it. I promise you it's an easy price to pay. Anybody can pay it. And the best advice I can give you is if I can do it, you can do it. Farm boy from Idaho, raised in obscurity. I changed my life, turned it upside down, turned it all around, found economics, found future, found promise. And if I can do it, you can do it. So start setting your goals and see if you can't get a better excitement going for the things you want to accomplish for the future. One of the major reasons for setting goals is for what they make of you in achieving them. My teacher advised me when I first got started at age 25, he said, Jim, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? I'm here to help you. And he said, here's why. For what it will make of you to achieve it. I'm telling you that statement changed my life. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve it. He said, now, once you become a millionaire, what's important is not the money. It isn't important. He said, you could just give the money away. Now, I did better than that. I lost it all. By the time I was 31, I was a millionaire. By the time I was 33, I was broke. But when I lost all my money, guess what? I found out Mr. Schoaf was right. What was valuable was not the money. What was valuable was what I became to earn the money. The skills I had, the knowledge I had about the marketplace. The values that I had going for me, they were more valuable than the money. And here's an important statement to remember. It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become. So part of the key here is to set the kind of goals that will make something of you. Don't set them too low so that you don't have to grow and you don't have to read and you don't have to try and you don't have to stretch. Don't set them too low. And then don't sell out. Don't go for something that's going to cost you your virtue or cost you your values, or sell out your principles. There's a good middle road here to follow. Goals that will inspire, goals that will help you grow, change, develop, and become better than you are. Now here's my third subject, and that's called financial independence. Become rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find an opportunity like I did. I like the phrase financial independence. I think it's every person's heritage here, especially in America, to become financially independent. Now, let me give you my definition of financial independence. Financial independence is the ability to live from the income of your own personal resources. Now, it depends on how you want to live. If you need $2,000, $3,000 a month, if you need $4,000 or $5,000 a month, if you need $10,000 a month, some people may need, $100,000 a month. But whatever you would need to live, and you could earn that living from the income of your own personal resources, that's what I call financial freedom, financial independence. And let me show you how to acquire. If you start at age 15, between ages 15 and 35 is 20 years. 20 years, in my opinion, is enough time to become financially independent. If you're not, you don't live in the wrong country. Probably what's happened is you have the wrong plan. And it's easy to be a nice person with the wrong plan. I found that when I was 25 years old. I was broke at age 25, and I was a nice guy. You would have liked me. But I'm telling you, my plans up until then, especially my financial plan, left me broke. I totally changed it the next 6 years, and I became financially independent. It is possible in a reasonable amount of time, whatever, 20 years' time, enough time. You can do it in a much shorter period of time, like I did if you want to. But this was a reasonable enough time. But here's number one. First of all, you got to have the right philosophy. Philosophy is our ability to gather knowledge and sort through it and decide what's valuable. To develop a philosophy about life, a philosophy about our health, a philosophy about our family relationships, a philosophy about economics. And if you develop the right philosophy, that's what helps to set this sail so that in 6 years it takes you where you want to go instead of winding up like I did that first 6 years of my economics, broke, no money, empty bank account. Now, let me give you a couple of philosophies to consider. Here's the first one. It's called the philosophy of the poor. Poor people usually spend their money and invest what's left. That's the philosophy of the poor. Now, here's the philosophy of the rich. Rich people invest their money and spend what's left. And here's the startling answer. It really doesn't matter what the amount is. What's most important is not the amount. What's really important is the philosophy. So I would ask you to adopt this philosophy. A person's economic future starts with a child with $1. Somebody says, oh, no, you're only young once. Let him spend it all. Well, when would you hope that would stop? Somebody says, well, wait till he's 50 and broke like me and then he'll learn. Well, no, we don't want to wait that long. If I would have known earlier than age 25, I would have changed. In high school, if they would have had classes called Wealth 1, Wealth 2, I'd have taken both classes. I would not have waited until age 25. The earlier, the better. So what should a child do with $1? Here's the simple premise to begin with. Don't spend it all. They'll still say, why not? Say, let me show you why not. So you put them in your car, take them to the other side of town, and show them where people live that spend the whole $1. Just drive around and say, would you like to live here? Kid says, no. Then you can't spend the whole $1. Kids learn best by visual. Kids will get the message. Now, let me give you my best view of what to do with $1. Never spend more than 70 cents. Now, you got to pick some number, and the number you pick is going to be determined by your philosophy. It's going to be determined by what you've been taught or your experience teaching yourself. When I first met my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, I was at about 110% of each dollar. And then I learned a whole better formula for financial independence. Number one, don't spend more than 70 cents. Okay, what do I do with the other 30 cents? 10 cents for charity or church or helping people that can't help themselves. Projects that you feel good about. It's called being generous with part of what you've taken out of society. Now, in my opinion, nothing teaches us character better than generosity. No class, no teacher, no book teaches character better than generosity. And the best time to start is when the amounts are small. And I know if kids learn these lessons well, they'll give a dime out of $1, help people that can't help themselves, support worthy projects. So the time to start is when the amounts are small. Next, 10 cents. I call active capital. Active capital means do something to make a profit. Set aside a portion of your income. Wages are okay, but I'm telling you, wages will make you a living. Profits will make you a fortune. So set aside part of your income as capital, called active capital. Any kind of project you can possibly think of, you can possibly come up with. 10 cents out of the money you earn, set aside for capital. Capital to try your best to show a profit.
You have an income problem. This is where Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, CNN Money, Smart Money, all these people that talk about money are wrong. You're getting advice from people that don't have any money. You spend too much. You're overspending. No, you're not. You're under-incoming, right? You don't make enough money. So remember that today. That's why we're talking about sales the whole time. How do you make more money? How do I market? You can't spend too much money on marketing. It's impossible. How many agree with that statement? Yeah. You cannot spend too much money. You could not sell enough people. I don't expect all advertising to work. I expect a lot of it to be wasted.
Money's not everything. It's really not. And money can't make you happy. Money don't make you happy. I know a lot of miserable people with money. It's not money that makes you happy. It don't. It don't make you happy, but it'll park you right in front of Happy's house. And you can at least see if to stay there. I recommend money. I highly recommend it. And anybody that told you that money different about money is because they don't have none. But you got to quit listening to people that ain't got money tell you about money. Money, the root of all evil and all that shit. You do evil stuff with money, but if you're a good person, You can do good stuff with money. You know, people say that money changes people. It really doesn't. You know what I learned about money? Money don't change people. Money allows you to be more of who you really are. See, if you're a kind person, when you get a lot of money, you become a kinder person. If you're an asshole, when you get a lot of money, you become a bigger asshole. It's money, it allows you to amplify whoever you really are. That's why when you see rich people acting like it's because they always been one. They always been cold. They just had the money to flex on to show it to you. That's all it is. But you let them get some money. They finna show your something. And that's it. If you see a person that's cool with money, it's because he always been cool. And that's why I recommend money, but it's all right. I'm gonna do this real quick. Let me see if I don't have time to do that. I was gonna show you a real simple thing I figured out a long time ago. Before I go today, I'm gonna share it with you. I'm gonna show you the simple way to become a millionaire. Very well, come on. Michelle, what you got, Steve? No. Well, I'm gonna show you. It's a really simple way. And it's so true, it's very simple. You just have to understand that it's possible for you. What stops most people from becoming successful is you have something in you that tells you it's not for you. But it's for everybody who wants it. God will give you the desires of your heart. He love you. If your child asks you for the latest sneaker, you're going to try to get it for him. If he at the school trying to make a field trip, you're going to try to send him. If he need a computer for a class, you're going to try to get this computer for your child. Because he your child. Well, we all got the same Heavenly Father. We his children. When you ask him for something, you don't think he want to give it to you? But you have not because you ask not. Most people don't even ask God for the right stuff. Keep wasting God's time with all these little bitty requests. You're talking to God. Why you keep going to God with this little stuff? Lord, help me make my rent. Don't he always? Why don't you ask for a mortgage? You're talking to God, man. It's the same dude that made heaven and earth in 6 days. How he can't give you a house? How he can't give you a new car? Quit looking on Craigslist for a used car. Go to the new car section. You're talking to God. Quit asking God for little stuff. God don't care nothing about no used car. You want a used car, he'll give you a used car. Ask for a new car. You gonna ask God for $500? Might as well ask him for 50 grand. I mean, since you asking, you have not cause you ask not. It's really simple. I'm telling you, man, I figured it out. I ain't smart. I ain't got no education. I ain't got no degree of any kind whatsoever. Graduated with a high school diploma. Graduating class was 695 people. I graduated 690.
Don't be down on yourself because you're not where you want to be. God is the potter, you are the clay. He's changing you from glory to glory. You can't make yourself grow any faster than he has planned. You may not be where you want to be, but learn to enjoy the glory that you're in right now. How much more peace could you have if you got out of the striving mode? How much more would you enjoy your life if you would turn those situations over to God? Quit trying to do what only he can do. It's not work harder, perform better, then it will happen. Live from a place of peace. Do your best and then rest. When you stop striving, you'll know he's God. He'll make things happen that you couldn't make happen.
I'm a college dropout. I was homeless, lived in a car for 3 years. I've lost every single thing I had, family included. I've been written off so many times. But today, the person that you sitting in front of you is a process. I want to talk to you for a moment about the process. Because see, one way to get a person to really follow you is to be the example of what you're trying to get them to follow. You know, my daddy used to tell me all the time, he said, son, best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them, because you can't help the cause. You got a remote control. You go to your house tonight and you press that power button and you press it. When you point it at the TV, what do you expect to happen? You expect TV to come on. You press the power button, you expect the TV to come on. If you want to watch HBO, and HBO is channel 300, and you press 300, and then you press select, what do you expect to come on that TV? And what comes on that TV? So now, since your brain is in two halves, let me show you how this works. You wake up in the morning and you say, man, I don't feel myself today. I got up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm not a morning person. Forming negative. Harvey hears that. He steps to the front. He said, what did you say? You say, I said I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm not myself. I'm not a morning person. He says, you got it right away. He said, hey, the boss just woke up and said he's not a morning person. He's having a bad day today, and he ain't feeling himself. Let's get to work. The million factory workers start producing thoughts to justify what you just said. So now guess what? Man, I hate my alarm clock went off this morning. I got to get out here in this traffic. I'm going to drive down here today. I don't even like these people on my job. I can't stand this car I'm finna get in this morning. Sure wish I had a new car, but I'm driving this ragged-ass car. And on and on and on. And your day starts tumbling into what you ordered at the top of the day. You could wake up in the morning and you say, you know what? Today is going to be a great day today. I expect something really good to happen for me today. Man, thank you, Lord, for waking me up this morning. He said, what did you say? You say, I said I'm having a great day today. I expect something good to happen today. Thank you, Lord, for waking me up. Forming positive turns around and goes, all right, let me have your attention. Steve's having a great day today. He's expecting some wonderful things to happen. And man, let's get it going. And they start manufacturing thoughts. Same brain. Man, I can't wait to go to work today. It may not be the job I want, but at least I got a job. I appreciate the fact that I don't have a car, but at least I can walk to the train. Man, this is going to be great today. That's how your mind works 24/7. It never turns off. You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life. We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it. Change your attitude, you change your altitude. I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. You see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using them. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump. And hit a problem. I'm going to just be real with you. When you first jump, Let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes tore off. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. Here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has. I was speaking at a school once, and I was talking to the students. The principal was mortified with my message because I was telling the truth. I was telling the kids, your education is important, but your education is not the most important thing in your life. I'm sorry, it's not. Your dream is the most important thing in this world. Principal came up on the stage while I was speaking. Don't ever say that to my school again. Well, I'm just telling you, dog. You can save your kids a lot of pain if you ever talk to them about their dreams. You got to talk to young people about their dreams. If you talk to kids about their dreams, your dreams can spur you to get the education. But if you never find out what a child is dreaming about, you can't hold their attention. It's the dream, man. You got to dream about something so big that it dwarfs all your fears. The way you overcome fear is with your dream. You got to make your dream so big that nothing matters except that dream. You're willing to do everything that's necessary. I was listening to Will Smith the other day. Will Smith said the best things in life is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear. But fear freezes people, man. The fear of failure freezes people. Suppose I don't do it. Well, you might not make it. But I got news for you. If you don't do it, you damn sure ain't gonna make it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost the faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop off. You know, you just kind of hope something happened for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10. I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV and turned that in? The first thing the little boy next to me asked me, he 10, well, how long is your TV show going to be? Because you're going to be on TV all day. But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. I was just hoping. You just got to start with the hope. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. You just hope something, Joe. Then what happened is through grace and favor, he give you a couple of them things you hope for, and then you're supposed to start believing then. Because now it turns into faith. But if you take this scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. What is the evidence of things not seen? I just told it to you. Albert Einstein said that imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. That's what your imagination is. Your imagination is actually very, very real. Everything you imagine could be a preview to life's coming attraction. Everything we have today came from somebody's imagination. Somebody was talking on the phone with that cord on the wall and got sick of it and said, you know what, man, if I could just go outside and talk on the phone, ta-da, we got cell phones. Somebody got tired of driving across the country and said, man, if I could fly over there, boom, we got airplanes. Imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attraction. Everything you've ever imagined is real. The problem with most people is you think your imagination is hocus pocus. It's really not. It's a preview of a coming attraction. If you react to your imagination, that's where your real life is. It's just God showing you what he has for you. It's the problem people have is they tell their imagination to the wrong people. See, if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. It's dead. How many times, man, have you had a tremendous idea? Something you thought was the one, and you went and told it to your loved ones and your so-called friends, and they shot it down. I mean, you was convinced that it was just, oh man, I just came to you. And you told it to them and they shot it down. And you thought since they was your loved ones and their friends and they got your best interests at heart, you believed them. You was wrong. You let them talk you out of what God got for you. As a kid, I didn't know, but my gift is that I found out later on, I have the ability to think extremely quick, and I can take any piece of information and transpose it into comedy immediately. Now, when you're a kid and you don't understand that, you get in a lot of trouble. I didn't know what it was until I got older, that this was a gift, that it did make room for me, that I became a stand-up comedian, which started with a dream of mine, and it led to where I am today. It's a lot of stuff that happened in between there. But your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your God-given gift, and everybody has one, and God gives it to you at birth. You don't have to go anywhere to discover it. It's not in the water. It's not on the mountaintop. It ain't hid under a rock. Your God-given gift is instilled in you at birth. If you pursue that as opposed to your passion, there lies your greatest chance for success. The problem with people is we don't pursue our gift oftentimes. We try to go get an education and make it think that's going to get us somewhere. If you identify that gift, man, that gift is the thing that can make you great. We're all participating in this thing called life. Life has ebb and flows, mountaintops, it's got valleys, it's got thunderstorms in it, earthquakes. This life, you stop expecting it to go smooth, because it ain't finna go smooth. The road to success is always under construction. This life ain't set up to be smooth. You combat negativity and you combat discouragement with gratitude. It's the one way to combat discouragement is with gratitude. What messes you up is you focus on the thing that's not happening. And that causes you to get discouraged. So whenever you get discouraged, you have to change your focus from what's not happening to what has happened. And it straightens you out immediately. Because what causes the downslide is if you get wrapped up into what ain't happening, it get ugly, man. And it just snowballs. But you have to focus on gratitude. People understand how serious gratitude is. It's a serious principle of success. It's hard to be miserable and grateful at the same time. You have to take chances in life. If you don't take chances in life, you'll never have the life God has for you. Life is about risk. If you play it safe in life, you ain't gonna have much of a life. If you play it safe, you won't have much of a life. Life is risk. It takes courage to pursue your dream. I just did it. It cost me everything, but eventually, God is very good, man, when he sees you take a leap of faith. He supplies you everything you need. Now, it's going to cost you something. But most people are not willing to pay what it costs to go after your dream, because you're going to have to hurt a little bit. And most people don't like being uncomfortable. If you don't want to be uncomfortable, please do not pursue success, because success is a very uncomfortable feeling. And I learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable. See, if you think you're too old to make it, let me give you a prime example. Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders has been frying chicken his whole life. He was telling everybody he had the best chicken in the world. Ain't nobody believe him. They turned him down everywhere. Colonel Sanders didn't get a franchise till he was in his 60s. Kentucky Fried Chicken sell more chicken than anybody in the world today. So if you're sitting there thinking because you got a little gray on you, and you're too late, As long as God waking you up in the morning, that's the sign that he ain't through with you. So what you tripping for? Last year I spoke at the SALT convention. The SALT convention is where billionaires from around the world gather. They gather in Vegas once a year to talk about how they're going to change the world. There's a couple hundred billionaires in this world. They all come to Las Vegas once a year to SALT convention. I was asked last year to be the keynote speaker. And I'm tripping because I'm not a billionaire. And I asked a guy who asked me to do it, I said, I'm not a billionaire. You do understand that. We said, Mr. Harvey, we know everything about you. We know your net worth and everything. I said, well, what can you all learn from me? He said, everything. He said, the reason we want to hear your story is because the majority of us that are billionaires, we inherited some money and we grew it. A couple of us inherited $1 billion, some of us inherited 300 million and we turned it into $1 billion. You come from nothing. What we want to know is how you got to where you are after coming from nothing. How did you live in a car for 3 years and wind up on more TV shows than anybody? How did you survive flunking out of school? How did you survive all of that? We want to know that because in case something happens to us, we don't really have the information that you have, or how to come from the back to the front, or how to come from the bottom to the top. So I get asked oftentimes to speak. And so when I was telling them how I made it, I was telling them about the fortitude that I developed. And then I told them about the faith that I had. And that was really startling to them. Now, a lot of them are people of faith, but a lot of people who were born with a lot of money ain't really had to have a lot of faith. You understand? You have an idea of what it feels like. You've seen some kids get put in foster care. You've seen child protective services come to somebody's house. You've seen kids come to school with less. You might have been one of the kids that went to school with less. You have struggled to give your kids a better life than the one you had. They don't hear this. But I'm going to tell you something right now. You can be successful without an education. You can be successful without coming from a rich family. You can be successful. I don't care what color you are, what faith you belong to, your sexual preference. I don't care what's wrong with you. You can be successful.
Somebody taught you that the best way to deal with pain was to isolate. So you adopted a method of ignoring stuff you couldn't fix. And I bet you've been doing it all of your life. Since you were a little girl, since you were a little boy, you have become a master at leaving. If it's just stressful, I'll leave. It's just unpopulated, I'll leave. How are you going to win if you're not in the game? You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to have the solution. You don't have to have the way out. All you have to do is show up in your own life. God knows where you live. God knows where you are. God knows what you're going through. And when he comes walking in the door, make sure you are where you're supposed to be. Even if you don't like it, even if it don't feel good, even if it makes you cry, even if it makes you hurt, don't be a ghost in your own life.
What makes it hard is your lack of belief that it can happen for you. The fact of it is, though, it's very doable. See, but you got to change, though. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter what your children think. It don't matter. They have nothing to do with it. This decision is yours and yours alone. It's two people born in a hospital every day. It's a person that's born in a hospital that's going to get a job, and somebody born in a hospital that's going to give them a job. You get to decide which one you're going to be. Let me tell you something. You get to decide if I'm going to be rich, poor, mediocre, plentiful, happy, sad. You have a decision to make.
I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what God put in my heart. The dreams God has placed in your heart, the promises He's spoken to you are not going to come to pass without opposition, without delays, without people trying to talk you out of it. There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion, think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time, or the 5th time, or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing for that you are relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it's taking. You don't give up because people told you no. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I'm not going to stop believing. You can't be passive and indifferent. You have to have a holy determination. It's more than just your will. It's a fire on the inside, a knowing that it's supposed to be yours. When everything says it's not going to happen, instead of getting discouraged, you kick in to a new gear. Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level.
Listen, getting successful, whatever you consider successful, if it's rich, whatever, it's not a magic trick. It's not God picks certain people He'll make rich and certain people He don't. He gives all of us as His children the power of choice. You have a say-so in that. You can decide to be rich, and with God's help, it's highly doable. But you first have to think it.
How bad do you want what God has put in your heart? Bad enough to outlast the opposition? Bad enough to overlook some insults? Bad enough to do the right thing when the wrong thing is happening? Do you want it bad enough to keep pursuing even when circumstances say it's not going to happen? Many of the difficulties we face, the delays, the times it's not fair, that's simply a test. God is seeing how bad do you want it. This is what weeds people out. If you're overcome by problems, you let circumstances push you down, people talk you out of it, you're not going to have the strength or the courage to sustain where God is taking you. You have to be like David. Don't have a weak mentality, have a warrior mentality. You have to be more determined than the opposition. If you give up every time things don't go your way, you didn't want it bad enough. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am in this for the long haul. I know what God has spoken to me. I will get well. I will accomplish my dream. I will meet the right person. You're not moved by what's not working out, by how long it's taking, or by who's not for you. You know who is for you, the Most High God. If you're going to see what you're believing for, you have to be willing to do what other people won't do. Other people may not believe when it looks impossible. Other people may settle where they are. They may get discouraged, tell you, don't bother praying, don't bother believing, no use getting your hopes up, you're wasting your time. You have to do like Barnabas and say, God, this looks impossible, but I know you can do the impossible. The odds are against me, but God, I know you are for me. Well, I put in 3 applications. All 3 companies turned me down. I don't think I'll ever find a job. I say this respectfully, you don't want it bad enough. Well, I dated 2 girls. Both of them told me I wasn't their type. I don't think I'll ever get married. You don't want it bad enough. There are several million other girls out there. Well, I want to get well, but the medical report says I'm not going to make it. when the odds are against you, you have to want it on a new level. How bad do you want to get out of debt? Bad enough to not buy things you can't afford? Bad enough to not try to keep up with your friends? Bad enough to honor God by tithing your income? How bad do you want that promotion? Bad enough to get to work early? Bad enough to do more than what's required? Bad enough to take that online course to sharpen your skills? I don't want to take another course. I don't want more work. I just want the promotion. You don't want it bad enough. You have to stand out in the crowd.
You have to live your life with the expectation that great things are coming your way. And that's how it works. Now, let me teach it to you. You grab your remote. You press the power button. What do you expect to happen? You expect the TV to come on. Guess what? It come on. If you want to see Sports Center channel 46, and you press 46 and OK or select, what do you expect to come on your TV? Sports Center. And guess what show up? Sports Center. They got the concept of creating a remote from the Bible. See, God is tied to all of this. You better understand what I'm trying to tell you now. The Bible says, a man is as he thinketh. God created us in his image. God thought of this world. He thought of it. So he created it. So he made you just like him, that your thoughts can create things. He made you just like him. Now, you can't go make earth and heaven like he did, but you can make a better world for yourself.
Your destiny is too important to spend it with people that are not making you better. Who are you allowing to influence you? Are they challenging you, inspiring you, pushing you forward? You don't have time to waste with people that bring out the worst in you. Life is flying by. We don't get a do-over. This is it. Well, what if I hurt their feelings? What if you miss your destiny? What if they keep you from becoming who you were created to be? They may not want it bad enough. They may be okay with mediocrity, compromise, barely getting by in life. That's their choice, but that's not who you are. You have seeds of greatness. You're destined to leave your mark. You weren't created to fit in, to be average, to live with addictions, dysfunction, lack, struggle. You were created to stand out in the crowd, to be a cut above. Now do your part and distinguish yourself. Be willing to do what others won't do. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, you have to say no to carnal desires, but the pain of discipline is less than the pain of regret. It's hard to bite your tongue, not say what you feel, but that pain is less than the pain of having someone you love walk away. Hard to lay off the junk food, things that are not good for you. That pain is less than the pain of not being healthy. It's hard to break away from a friend that's pulling you down, but that pain is less than not reaching your dreams. One of the saddest things is to come to the end of life and wonder what I could have become. What if I wouldn't have let those people talk me out of my miracle? What if I would have broken away from those friends that were causing me to compromise? Where would I be? What if I would have treated my spouse with respect? What if I would have taken that step of faith in my career and not played it safe all the time? You don't have to wonder. You can start right now. Right. It is not too late to become who God's created you to be. The question is, do you want it bad enough? Stir your passion up. Make this decision. I am not going to live complacent, accepting mediocrity, passive. I'm going to pursue what God put in my heart. God hasn't brought you this far to leave you. Just because you don't see a way doesn't mean God doesn't have a way. Right now, He's working behind the scenes in your life. You wouldn't be alive if He didn't have something amazing in front of you. Why do you think the enemy's trying to stop you? He doesn't bother people that are not a threat. He wouldn't waste his time on you if he didn't know you were a world changer, a history maker, that you have seeds of greatness. He knows God is about to open doors bigger than you've dreamed. You're about to step into new levels of your destiny. Your attitude is going to determine your altitude. It will determine how high or how low you go. Well, Joel, I've always been kind of negative, critical, condescending. That's just who I am. No, that's who you're choosing to be. That's not who you are. That may be how you were raised. That's what you saw growing up, but that's not how you have to stay. Try being kind, friendly, good-natured. You'll not only enjoy life more, but you'll go further.
If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you.
The good news is all you have to do is make an attitude adjustment. It's not complicated. You can't change other people. You can't change how you were raised. A lot in life we can't control. But one thing we can all control is our attitude. Am I going to live this day negative, sour, seeing the wrong, chip on my shoulder? Or am I going to live it in faith, positive, hopeful, seeing the best, being good to people? This is a choice that we have to make every day. If you're going to have a good attitude, you have to do it on purpose, because there will be all kinds of negative things that try to creep in. Bitterness, discouragement, self-pity. If you're not proactive, if you don't choose the right attitude, then the wrong attitude will show up. When a pilot makes a small tweak, the plane can be level, but when he tilts it just a little nose high, in a half an hour, the plane will have climbed thousands of feet in the air. I wonder what would happen in your life if you would make a small tweak. Instead of going to work sour, dreading the day, feeling unappreciated, you would show up with a smile, grateful to have the job, knowing that you're not working under people, you're working under God, that He's keeping the records. That's what allows God to change things. What would happen in your marriage, your relationships, if you'd make a small attitude adjustment? Instead of being contentious, hard to get along with, you'd start being friendly, loving, respectful. Instead of saying harsh, critical words, you would start giving compliments, telling your spouse how much you love them, how blessed you are to have them in your life. Just a small adjustment, getting your attitude a little higher, watch those relationships begin to improve. Or maybe you've had bad breaks. Life hasn't treated you fair. And it's easy to get sour, go around with a chip on our shoulder, focus on what's wrong. That's a nose down attitude. You're choosing the direction you're going to go. Why don't you tilt it a little nose high? Yes, it was unfair, but I know God is my vindicator. I know God is fighting my battles. God promised to pay me back double for the unfair things that have happened. You keep that up and you'll see God make up for the wrong.
The moment you change the frequency that your tower emits, the moment you change that frequency, different things come back to you. I'm telling you this how it works. If you change your attitude, change your attitude. Somebody in here needed to hear this. Somebody, you just needed that little moment, man, to get you to thinking a little bit differently so you can get the life God got for you. God wants to show you off. He wants people that He can use in that example and say, hey, this is what I do for people. If you call on me and you believe in me, this is what I do for people. I raised my hand a long time ago. Use me. Show them how you take an old hoodlum. Tell them how you take a street boy. Show how you can take somebody that ain't got no education. Take me. Take somebody that don't even talk that good. Take somebody who flunked out of school, on his third marriage, lost everything, lived in a car for 3 years. Take me and show somebody what you can do through me. Guess what He did? He picked me up. He put me in a world I knew nothing about. God will do the same thing for you. Change your attitude, You change your altitude.
Studies show that your attitude can have a greater impact on your success than your IQ. You can be extremely talented, have incredible potential, but if you don't have the right attitude, it will keep you from rising higher. And we spend all kinds of time and money making sure the outside looks good. Eating right, working out, wearing the latest fashions. And that's all fine, but too often we're not spending any time on the inside. Nice clothes won't cover up a bad attitude. A pretty face, perfect makeup won't hide being bitter on the inside. In high school, this new girl moved into town and she was very beautiful, very attractive. I was shy, never had the nerve to talk to her. But our senior year, we had a class together. The seating was assigned. It just so happened I was sitting right next to her. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. And the first time I sat by her, I turned, just being friendly, and said hello. Nothing more. She looked at me like I had just insulted her, like she was totally offended. She looked away and never said a word to me the whole semester. She was beautiful on the outside, but can I tell you, she was ugly on the inside. I never saw her the same way. A bad attitude makes you unattractive. It overrides what's on the outside. It's important to look good, to develop your skills, to get an education, but it's even more important to keep a good attitude. Nobody wants to be around a sour, critical, condescending person. Colossians 3 in the Message translation says, dress in the wardrobe God picked out for you. Kindness, compassion, and humility. As parents, sometimes we pick out clothes for our children to wear. Our Heavenly Father has picked out something for us all to wear. Kindness, being good to people, being pleasant to be around. When you're kind, you draw people to you. When you're good-natured, friendly, opportunity will come your way. People want to do business with people that they like. When we're hiring someone, their resume tells us what they can do, what their skills are, but we always meet with them to see what their attitude is. Are they positive? Are they friendly, kind, considerate? We can find someone else with the same skills. The real question is, do they have the attitude that's going to take us higher? They may be gifted, but a negative attitude will pull the team down. Your attitude is going to determine your altitude. It will determine how high or how low you go, 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 or how low you go.